My name's Scott Goldstein. I'm a partner at the Ankin law offices. I handle workers' compensation cases primarily through the beginning of the case, all the way through any litigation that ensues, and all the way to the final outcome, whether it's a trial, whether it's a settlement, whether it's any other potential outcome that's out there. I handle everything. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin originally. I was born and raised there, and I lived there all the way through graduation of high school before I went away to college, and then ended up in Chicago and came here for law school, and I've been here ever since. My dad was a city bus driver in the city of Milwaukee when I was young. He went on to become the president of the Bus Drivers Union in Milwaukee, Local 998. Then he moved on and transitioned on to become the president of the Milwaukee County Labor Council, AFL-CIO. Like in my middle school and high school years, that was what he was doing. The influence my dad had on me was that he was able to show me how important it is to help working people, working families, people in need, and that it's always important to try to help others that are in need of help, and that still resonates with me today. My mom was a teacher at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. She taught English as a second language to foreign students, and that also resonated with me in a significant way because I kind of got to meet her students sometimes. You get to meet people from different parts of the world, different cultures, different languages, and you get that exposed to all those people at a young age, and you kind of become curious about the world, curious about other countries. And so that was always a big influence on me as well. So I graduated from the University of San Francisco. I think going to San Francisco was heavily influenced by my mom, who had spent some time in San Francisco and had sort of suggested to me that it might be a good place that I'd be interested in. And I checked it out, and I was. So I ended up going there. I graduated, and then I had like a semester off, and then I started law school in Chicago the following fall. Law is in my family, going back all the way to my great-great-grandfather in this country. I have on the wall of my office his admission to the U.S. Supreme Court, I think from 1906. I also have pictures of him from his office from the early 1900s. So law has been in my family for a long time. I come from a family of lawyers. My dad's not, my grandpa's not, but there are multiple lawyers in my family, and so it was just sort of like I don't want a family thing, but it was, law is a higher calling, I feel like, and I just felt called to try to help and serve, and that's the path that I ended up taking. So I was trying to get back to the Midwest at that time, and John Marshall's in Chicago. Chicago is about a little over an hour from my hometown of Milwaukee, so close to family. And I had a lot of friends at the time from high school who had gravitated from Milwaukee to Chicago and were living down here. So it was sort of natural for a lot of people that I knew to move from Milwaukee to Chicago. So I had roommates right away. It worked out really great that way. On the first day of law school, I remember they asked us, what do you want to do for a profession when you're done with law school? Kind of like they ask you when you're a little kid, what do you want to do when you grow up? So when I got to law school, I think every single guy that I can remember said that they wanted to be a sports agent. And that was like, what my goal was too, because I have such a heavy interest in sports. And then I think my dreams were crushed on the first day of law school, so that I had to figure out a different potential employment route to take. And I did. Thankfully, I did. First year law school, like many law students, you start to look at different potential clerkships that you could get interested in and get involved with. I started looking around. I saw an ad, just like many law students do, at the Career Services office. I responded to the ad, and I met Howard, and we did an interview, and we did I think 2 or 3 different interviews. That was in May of 2003, so a little over 20 years ago, and here I am today. I started working right away my first summer after my first year of law school. I've never worked at any other law firm ever in my life. Sometimes clients would call and I wouldn't know the answer to a question, so I would put the call through to Howard so that he could help the client. and then I would go outside his office and listen to the response that he would provide the client, because I thought that that was a really helpful way to learn how to talk to clients, maybe for an issue that I wasn't familiar with or didn't know the right answer to, and then I could sort of take that answer in and learn what to say for the next time then. Yeah, workers' compensation is kind of part of my DNA because of just a family background and helping workers and knowing the importance of helping people in general. So we get to do that here on an everyday basis, and that's one of the great parts of working here. You get to go home at the end of the day with a sense of fulfillment that you've actually made an impact on somebody's life, and that's really great. There's certain cases that you remember maybe more than others. There was one I remember that Howard and I handled maybe 10 years ago. Howard and I handled it together. It was a young man who was a truck driver for one of the big delivery services in the Chicago metropolitan area. He was working in a crime-filled neighborhood, and unfortunately he was robbed and shot in the back at the time and became paraplegic, had really terrible injuries, and Howard and I were able at the end to get a significant financial settlement for his medical care needs in the future for the rest of his life. As a lawyer, Howard and I were like bookends at the courthouse. It was me and him going to court almost every day together, probably with 10 or 15 workers' compensation files, and all the lawyers at that time at the courthouse, or all the defense attorneys, I should say, knew us and knew that either they had to talk to me or they had to talk to Howard. So we had our little spot at the courthouse where we always sat, and people knew to find us there, and that's where we got a lot of business handled in those days together. And I certainly learned a lot in sitting next to Howard in those days as well. The way that the firm has grown has just been tremendous since I've been here, and it's just a really great feeling to see. I think at the time when I started, there was one or two other lawyers besides Howard that worked here, and now I think we're over 20 plus lawyers in the firm and probably close to 100 people total that work here. So there's been a really big amount, a large amount of growth since I've been here. We keep expanding office space because we keep outgrowing the space, so it's just been really great to see all the growth at the firm since I've been here. I think we're one of the biggest filers of workers' compensation cases in the state of Illinois. It just feels really good to know at the end of the day, you know, when people say something like, hey, you know, you really helped me, or you really helped change my life, or, you know, you provide a really great service, you know, you can go home at the end of the day and sort of feel good and look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I really made an impact, and that feels really great. I'm most proud of at Ankin Law a couple different things. One is just the people that work here. I like coming to work every day. I like talking to the people here. I like bouncing ideas off of off the other lawyers here. I like talking to my assistants and bouncing ideas off of them. So just the people, I think I'm really proud of. I'm also proud of the actual legal work that we do, because I think that we do good work for our clients, and ultimately at the end of the day, that's what's important. I'm definitely close with some of the other partners. Some of them have been here not quite as long as me, but almost as long as me, and we've got to meet each other's families over the years. We do stuff outside of the office together. We hang out at office events together. So yeah, it's really great. All the other lawyers that work here and some of the other partners, it's just been a pleasure to be a part of the team. At Ankin Law, our tagline is "Injury Law Made Personal," and I think that that really resonates with clients, and it resonates with me. As we handle the legal aspects of the case for our clients in workers' compensation cases, but we also try to act as an advisor, as a counselor, as a psychiatrist, as a friend. It's like we're a jack of all trades in helping the client, and I think that that's really important. It's important that they know the legal aspects of their case. That's what's most important, but it's also important that you provide that empathy and kindness and encouragement that they need in order to sort of see through to the next day. The sense of justice that I have from when I was just a kid is still sort of burning bright inside of me, and I feel like I got another 20, 30 years here to go, because the fight has definitely not been lost inside of me, and I feel like, you know, every day when you're fighting the insurance company, fighting the employers, every day is a fight. And, you know, thankfully for me, I think that I still have that fight inside of me, and the fight is burning strong, I feel like, still inside, and that's a good feeling.